cries for a ceasefire in the Middle East grow louder.
Release the captives, the captives that you can, before it is too late.
After the Israeli military makes a discovery. Taking Labor Day off.
We're taking back Labor Day for the workers.
Why thousands of union hotel workers went on strike this past weekend. And sparking a change.
We've picked up a lot of bottle caps, a ton of cigarette butts, a few straws.
How a 9-year-old girl inspires her community to help the environment. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Jason Arrow.
I'm Samantha Gutierrez. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024.
Live from the Lee Kaplan School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
Israel's largest labor union calls for a shutdown of the economy as hundreds of thousands gather in the streets to protest against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's handling of the ceasefire negotiations after the death of 6 hostages. Protests in Israel following continue as Israel's military discovers 6 bodies belonging to hostages who were held captive by Hamas.
As CNN's John Lawrence reports, this comes right after the country's largest labor union goes on strike.
Mass demonstrations throughout Israel, including Tel Aviv, where police use stun grenades to clear crowds and say they arrested more than 24 people Sunday.
I'm all the time at the verge of crying. It's a terrible grief.
The protests are in response to the Israel Defense Forces discovery Saturday of the bodies of 6 hostages in a tunnel in Gaza. Many Israelis are blaming the deaths on their country's leaders for not coming to terms on a ceasefire with Hamas.
They should take responsibility and do the most necessary thing is like release the captives, the captives that you can, before it is too late.
While Hamas issued a statement Sunday saying Israel, quote, bears responsibility for the 6 deaths, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu claims Hamas is refusing all ceasefire proposals.
The government of Israel is committed, and I am personally committed, to continue striving towards a deal that will return all of our hostages and ensure our security and our existence.
U.S. officials say despite the hostage deaths, ceasefire talks continue, and the White House is hoping to see results soon.
We should end this war. I think we're on the verge of having an agreement. It's just time to end it.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Before hitting the campaign trail, Kamala Harris this week, President Joe Biden will meet with the Vice President as the U.S. hostage deal negotiation team. They received an update from the U.S. negotiation team on the status of the ceasefire proposal outlined by U.S., Qatar, and Egypt. According to the White House, they, quote, discussed the next steps on this ongoing effort to secure the release of the hostages, end quote. The president also told the interviewer yesterday that he didn't believe Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wasn't doing enough to reach a deal.
A seized airplane once belonging to Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro is in South Florida this morning. The plane arrived in Fort Lauderdale yesterday after it was seized in the Dominican Republic. The U.S. seized the aircraft after determining that its purchase violated U.S. sanctions. This comes as the Biden administration expresses concerns over the Latin American country's election and its credibility.
Yesterday in Venezuela, Maduro's regime officials issued an arrest warrant against opposition candidate Edmundo González Urrutia. The Venezuelan General Attorney Office accused González of conspiracy, amongst other crimes. González claims all of these accusations go against the Venezuelan people's desires. This comes as Maduro faces international backlash after evidence suggests his government committed fraud in the July 28th election.
There's room for improvement, and that's just the beginning of the message from hotel workers to management as they threaten to expand their strike to even more chains. CNN's Amy Kiley reports on how the strike could affect guests.
We're taking back Labor Day for the workers.
Boston members of Hotel Worker Union Local 26 are on strike, among more than 10,000 colleagues in cities nationwide.
We've been trying to bargain now for 5 months.
Stalled bargaining with the heads of Hyatt, Hilton, and Marriott, among others, led to the weekend walkout, leaving little to no service for thousands of rooms from cities like Boston and Baltimore to Seattle and San Diego, and even some locations in Hawaii.
We're going to do whatever it takes for us to have a better contract, better wages, better work conditions.
I don't think we're getting the respect from Hilton that we deserve.
Many travelers Monday faced long lines, closed amenities, and overstretched skeleton staff.
They brought in managers from the surrounding area. We saw a temp agency go in today.
There's usually only a few people that are juggling like 2 or 3 people's jobs.
The union wants several pandemic-era cuts restored, like daily room cleanings. The hospitality industry has roared back from the COVID shutdowns, but union leaders say worker pay and benefits have not kept pace. The union is threatening to expand the strike to as many as 65 hotels across a dozen more cities. Hilton and Hyatt reps have both said their companies are committed to resuming negotiations and serving customers during the strike. Service that is falling short for a number of frustrated holiday travelers.
There's a lot of people that they can only afford one vacation a year. If you don't want to work, don't work. Somebody else will take your job.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
A 9-year-old girl is conserving her local beaches in Georgia. She started a nonprofit and organizes cleanups to save sea life. As WTOC's Bronte Sorosky reports, she inspired her community on Tybee Island to turn the tide on trash.
Labor Day weekend, drawing in crowds to Tybee, as well as trash littered throughout the island.
I know some weird things are we've picked up a whole entire bracelet of beads that have been falling apart. We've picked up a lot of bottle caps, a ton of cigarette butts, a few straws.
Thankfully, 9-year-old Lydia Clever, or Liddy, her mom, and some other volunteers are working hard to clean as much of Tybrisa Street as they can.
I adopted Tybrisa Street out here in Tybee because of my nonprofit, and I wanted to get all of the trash up.
One day, after noticing how much trash was left at the beach whenever she would visit, Liddy started cleaning herself, even wanting to donate a cleanup station with trash buckets and grabbers to her school.
The principal said I couldn't do it because they only accepted donations from nonprofits.
So, the nonprofit Save Sea Life with Liddy was born, organizing cleanups on Tybee Island every month, if not more.
She's like, wait, if we can teach other kids to care, then we won't have a beach to clean up because they'll know not to put trash on it.
Now, 3 years later, the nonprofit has grown beyond just organizing cleanups.
And with the pretty trash, Lydia actually keeps it and she makes trash art out of it. So she'll make whale tails, sea turtles, giant canvases.
Liddy sells this art, saving up to help a local sea turtle at the Tybee Island Marine Science Center.
She's raising money for West East Tracker, so I think we're about $300 away. She's already raised $900.
That's not all for the 9-year-old. She's published 2 books, teaching about humans' impact on our oceans and about endangered sea creatures. When asked how long Liddy plans to keep organizing these cleanups,
I don't think I'll ever stop doing this because it makes me really, really happy to know that I'm giving back to the community.
In her message to any kids out there watching, no act is too small, and you're never too young to make a difference.
That was WTOC's Bronte Sorosky reporting. Lydia and her mom say they also do cleanups in city parks and in the woods when they go hiking.
You know, Sam, Florida State did suffer a bad loss against the game. I don't know if you saw it the previous night.
Well, you know, that's still ahead, and so is the story.
So, how long do you think we'll be here? I'm not talking to you.
A sneak peek into what movies are hitting theaters this month. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantori here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's what white people think. You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
You're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
A big month for movies as the fall film season gets off to a strong start. Just because the summer blockbuster season is over doesn't mean that there aren't any good movies to watch.
CNN's Rick Damangela has more on what flicks are in theaters this month.
When I was a teenager, a trickster demon terrorized our entire family and tried to force me to marry him.
It's been 36 years since the original Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton brings the character back to the big screen in Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Tim Burton returns to the director's chair, with Jenna Ortega joining original cast members Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara in the sequel. The juice is loose in theaters once again September 6th.
How did you end up here?
Work.
What do you do?
Retirement planning.
Dave Bautista is an assassin who falls in love with a dancer played by Sofia Boutella in the romantic action flick The Killer's Game. Terry Crews, Pom Clementif, and Sir Ben Kingsley co-star when the contract goes live September 13th.
So, how long do you think we'll be here? I'm not talking to you.
Before they were enemies, Optimus Prime and Megatron were allies. Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry voiced the duo in the animated adventure Transformers 1. The Robots in Disguise invade theaters September 20th.
Processing language.
You need to learn how things work on this island.
Another animated robot tale arrives a week later in DreamWorks' The Wild Robot, based on the children's book series by Peter Brown, with Lupita Nyong'o voicing Roz, the wayward automaton. The Wild Robot arrives in theaters September 27th. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damangela.
Week 1 of the college football season ended last night, and we already have a major upset alert in Florida as FSU became the first team in the nation to fall 0-2 after a disappointing loss at home against another ACC school in Boston College. Senior quarterback DJ Uyunglele struggled to get the offense going all night, while BC broke straight through the defense for a final score of Boston 28 to FSU 13. FSU was ranked 10th nationally before the beginning of the season.
The Miami Hurricanes might have their swagger back after this week. On Saturday, the Canes traveled back to Gainesville to take on Florida Gators in week 1 of college football season. Miami was led by transfer quarterback Cameron Ward, who threw 385 yards and 3 touchdowns. The final score was Miami 41, Florida 17. Miami will take on Florida A&M Rattlers in their home debut on Saturday. You're watching Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day,
Millions of people are connecting
and even though we're overcoming obstacles,
Watching each other's backs.
and banding together.
We should still make an effort.
We should still make an
to
effort.
get to know each other,
on a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
Mentor.
Actor.
it's time we take a step forward
it's time we take a step forward.
Come together.
and discover
How accepting our differences
Can make us stronger.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Samantha Gutierrez.
I'm Justin Howard. Get more news anytime on caplinnews.fiu.edu.